What is up, guys? Delboy here. Just a quick video in regards to Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Now, I know I don't really make too many videos in regards to this fight or these fighters, but I just wanted to get this one out there really. Before I do, I kind of want to reiterate my theory on why this fight isn't happening. I personally feel, and I've said this for a while now, I think the powers that be, Al Heyman, Eddie Hearn, Shelley Finkel, all of these people, I think they are colluding behind closed doors. I think they know exactly what they are doing. They are longing this out for purpose. The reality is, interest in this fight just keeps on growing and growing and growing and growing, and they will cash out when they feel the fight is as big as it can be, or as close to being as big as it can be. The negotiations for this fight have been played out in public for a reason, in my opinion. And yeah, that's just how I see it. That's how I've always seen it, to be quite honest. But I could be wrong. Let's say I am wrong and this fight doesn't happen at all. Deontay Wilder is on the right side of history, whether by hook or by crook, or through genuine means, it's irrelevant. Deontay Wilder is on the right side of history. If this fight doesn't happen, Joshua will receive most of the blame. In regards to the hardcore boxing circles, I think the consensus is Joshua doesn't want this fight. And I think that opinion is noticeably starting to grow on social media. When you look at Anthony Joshua on social media, if you look at his posts on Twitter, for example, if you go through the comments, it is littered with fight Wilder, you're ducking Wilder, there's loads of memes about Joshua ducking and things of that nature. And his social media is littered with those type of posts. And from an outsider looking in, it seems Joshua's reputation in America is going down the toilet. Also, a lot of high-profile fighters within boxing are calling Joshua out in terms of how he's handling himself in regards to a Deontay Wilder fight. Lennox Lewis has, insinuated Joshua hasn't been acting like a real champion. He seems to be thinking Joshua is the one avoiding this fight. And, several people in boxing share this sentiment. So if this fight doesn't happen, Joshua could become Deontay Wilder's Riddick Bowe, to be quite honest. That's how it's looking. From what I can see, the majority of the hardcore boxing fans are blaming Joshua for this not happening. So if it doesn't happen, Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, will be on the right side of history. Because the reality is, a large amount of people who are Anthony Joshua fans now are not going to be boxing fans in 15 years' time. Joshua has a lot of casual fans, and they don't follow the sport extremely closely. And in 15 years' time, when both guys are retired, when hardcore boxing fans are analysing the resumes of both fighters and the careers of both fighters, these are going to be the people who judge who ducked who stands higher in terms of all-time great rankings and things of that nature. It's going to be the hardcore fans. It's going to be the boxing media. It's going to be sort of boxing personnel, guys like Lennox Lewis. And the reality is, the vast majority of these people are putting the blame on Anthony Joshua. So Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, is in a better position than Anthony Joshua in terms of being on the right side of history, potentially. Now, like I said, my theory is that the powers that be are the ones longing this out. That's how I feel. Now, as a result, I'm not going to support any other fight involving these two if they're not fighting each other. I'm not going to pay for Joshua versus Dillian Whyte. I'm not going to pay for Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. I'm just not going to pay for these fights. The only fight I would pay for, other than Wilder versus Joshua, is Alexander Usyk versus either guy. If Usyk goes to heavyweight and proves himself to a decent level, then I'll pay to watch him fight either guy. But apart from that, I am not paying for any more Joshua pay-per-views, and I am not paying for Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. You know, the sooner we do that, the sooner we vote with our wallets, that's when this fight will happen. We can scream and shout on social media, that's fair enough, you know, you can get your voice heard, but the reality is, the only way to truly get your voice heard is to vote with your wallet. Don't buy the fights. Now, that's more of a problem in the UK because Deontay Wilder, he's not a pay-per-view star in the States, so it's different. But in the UK, I'm not buying a Joshua fight until he fights Wilder, to be quite honest. Usyk being the exception. We are in a position now of being one fight away from having an undisputed heavyweight champion. You know, I'm not paying for Joshua versus Dillian White 2. I'm not paying for Joshua versus Miller. I'm not paying for Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev. I don't really want these fights. I want Joshua versus Wilder, Alexander Usyk being the exception to that rule. So yeah, that's my whole thoughts on this situation. If I am wrong about the promoters colluding to long this out, then Anthony Joshua will be the one to blame if this fight doesn't happen. But like I said, I truly believe the promoters are playing you guys and all of us, to be quite honest. Hence why I'm not buying these substandard fights if they are offered to me. And, you know, I suggest you guys do the same, man. I mean, that's the only way we are going to force this fight to happen. When I watch boxing with my friends, there's usually 4 or 5 of us, and they are all sort of really casual fans. And I've managed to persuade them that the be-all and end-all is Wilder versus Joshua. Anything other than that is kind of substandard. And I've persuaded them into that line of thinking. So, you know, I watch boxing with 4 other people. So if we got together on a fight day, you know, we wouldn't watch the fight, we'd do something else. And if we weren't together on a fight day, I'm sure, you know, none of those guys would purchase the fight either. So, you know, maybe I've saved a few pay-per-view buys there. So we've all got to do our bit to force this fight to happen because it has to happen. We are one fight away from an undisputed heavyweight champion. Vote with your wallets. We can scream and shout on YouTube. You can scream and shout on social media. But the reality is there's going to be 10 more people out there who stick up for Eddie Hearn or stick up for Joshua or stick up for Wilder. There's fanboys everywhere, so just vote with your wallet. And that's the only way you can really make a difference. That's just my opinion on this fight. Again, I feel the promoters are the ones longing this out. But if I'm wrong, Anthony Joshua is going to be the one on the wrong side of history if this fight doesn't happen. Peace.